Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Rap Drinks. Today we have Chris Morgan and Andrew Lane, who are the founders of TV Boy. You might recognize some of their work from Beat Bobby Flay, What Would You Do, and Storm Chasers. And today we're going to talk to them about their background in TV and prank shows and reality TV, and just figure out how they've made a career for themselves working in this awesome just arena of TV production. So welcome, guys. Thanks so much for being here.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Cheers. Salute. Yeah, guys, how does one get started working in, I guess, prank production? If that's what, is that even what you would call it?
I feel like, is it? Yeah, no, go. What is your sweet spot?
Well, we definitely got started as a company in hidden camera is how I'd say it. Hidden camera has a couple different sectors we found out. There's like pranks. There's like investigative news journalism sort of stuff, and other kind of documentary sort of just to take the camera person out of the room and get a different feel for that sort of stuff. How we both got started was as production assistants working on a hidden camera prank show, and that kind of led us to some of that like smaller, like more concealable camera tech.
What was the hidden camera show you guys worked on when you started? Can you name it?
Mm-hmm. It was Sledgehammer for VH1.
Okay.
And the idea of that show was every prank needed to have some sort of tie into music. And that was born out of a show called Rock of Ages, which was like, we'll show a video and we'll have like 8-year-olds comment on it. Then we'll have 80-year-olds commenting on it. And they started doing some hidden camera stunts as in that show, and that developed into the prank show. And it was a good cast. It was a lot of fun. It was a well-written show, and there's funny jokes.
Yeah, but they would like we like snuck Bono's grandfather into a U2 show with his nurse was like super hot nurse, and like rigged up a wheelchair, and he was like, I still like, it was all puns off of all the lyrics, but they were trying to sneak him into the show to see his grandson. And it was just like silly shit like that.
Or he had like the actor was playing this really super rich, guy who's throwing a wild bar mitzvah for his son. So he got like, club DJs to come in and like audition for his son's bar mitzvah. And, he's like, okay, what's this? And then eventually you'd always have him like cut up Hava Nagila in some sort of way. And some of them were just like kind of bullshit about it, and some of them were like, "Oh no, this is kind of fun." It was like,
bangers, though. Some guys were like killing it. Though.
Like, oh shit!
So the hidden camera thing probably wasn't planned. Like you guys just happened to be PAing on the same show, or was it like? No, did you see that kind of stuff?
We had PA together for probably like a year or two before that, and it was like one of those things like where if I couldn't do a job, I would recommend him, and if he couldn't do a job, he'd recommend me, and I got a job on it. Then got him on, and I think the producers were like, "Couldn't you guys figure out how to do this shit?" And then we're like, "Sure." And then they were like, "You guys are so much cheaper than the people that used to do it because you guys are making $100 a day." Yeah, so that's kind of how it like.
Those people get overtime.
Yeah.
I mean, as a PA, you don't really get a lot of information usually on the job. It's like, hey, can you PA? Are you available? But like, did you know you would be working on a hidden camera show that day, or did you just show up and kind of realize what was happening?
They were staff PA jobs.
Yeah,
so
okay.
like I actually had to interview for it.
Oh shit,
and,
okay.
Like, put in a resume and all that kind of stuff. And that job lasted 7 months. And the 9/11 attacks were during that job, and we had to figure out how to do things, before it was just wild. The goal was to get the cops called on you. Yeah. Like if you got the cops to come and bust up the segment, what a great button. Everyone laughs and we all go away.
But then post 9/11, that wasn't so much the.
Yeah,
it was a little more weirder. Sketchy.
Yeah,
is like the goal of. I mean, if you're trying to get the cops called, is every producer that decides to do a hidden camera show where they just bullied as a kid and now they want to be the bully? Like, what's the
maybe?
Like, what's the motivation?
Specifically, think of those two producers.
honestly, I'm one of the prank shows. I informally like polled the whole staff, and like 2 out of 3 were voted their class clown.
Uh-huh.
So I think they were like somewhere to where like if I'm funny, I won't be bullied, and necessarily won't have to be the bully. But my take is it's a good collection of people who used humor to disarm and defend themselves. You know, bunch of jackasses, and this was in the jackass era of television.
Yeah,
you know,
this is like
where
you know,
Bam
2001.
had a show, and what's a main Punked was out. Jackass, yeah. So it was very much like the punk rock television of the day.
Yeah, like Jamie Kennedy experiment.
Yeah.
We were like super low budget, where like basically we would put cameras on like eyeglasses and like, you know, like a briefcase and like run into like a record store and act like a dickhead and then get kicked out and then go to another record store and just like rinse and repeat.
So this was part of your responsibility as a production assistant, as a staff
Oh,
production
yeah.
assistant? Interesting.
So you'd wear body-worn cameras, you'd shop for props, you'd shop for wardrobe. One of the bits we did was the actor would get so excited whenever they'd have like the Stained album he asked for, whatever, that he would just pee his pants, you know? So like they send me out to buy khaki pants that's, you know, going to read real well, and I buy like 7 pairs of them because we're not going to be able to dry them all the way
for sure.
Next thing, have an art department person build this rig with, you know, like a camelback and a little release, so like it just is a good like pee stain, not too fast, couldn't be too slow.
Did they at least warm it up for you so it wasn't ice cold?
I didn't have to wear it, but you know, I did test it, and when I tested it, all the pants were too new and they wouldn't soak through.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh Christ, we got this shoot tomorrow. And I went to the all-night laundromat in Astoria where I lived, and I looked at the guy and I was like, dead in the eyes. I'm like, I'll pay you well for this.
You opened with that?
Yeah. And I'm like, bro, I need these washed, but not dried. I need them washed until 7 a.m. And then I need them put in the dryer from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Then I will be here to pick them up. But I was like, they have to be washed like 7 times otherwise. And they did end up soaking through beautifully. But I picked them up and I had no idea. I was like, as soon as I get them, can I get a cup of water? And I just throw water. I was just like, what?
What is my life?
Yeah, I know. I mean, but I broke them off like $40 to begin with. And I was like, there's 40 more if I feel like you did what I said when I come back.
I just love the idea of this guy watching you wet the pants he just dried in front of him.
And it's like, you're like, maybe I should tell him for TV. It's all for TV, or I don't know. Maybe it's just better to let
then
this
he'll
guy
charge you
think.
more.
Yeah, I'm like, weird. Oh, yeah. And then they do charge you more, you know.
For sure. Oh, man. Okay. So you're a staff PA, you're running into record stores. You've got like hidden cameras on you. And that wasn't your first PA job, but that was your first early work in hidden camera shows, basically.
Yeah, and then basically after that, like a lot of producers would go on to like other hidden camera shows, and they're like, "Hey, can you guys just take care of this?" Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like eventually, I think for Boiling Points, the pilot for Boiling Points, we're like, "Shit, let's just buy some stuff," and then we ended up like buying a couple like eyeglass camera rigs, and then they didn't get picked up for like 6 months, and we're just like, oh shit, man, all of our money is in this like stupid eyeglass.
You guys did one show and then you were like, let's start a company?
No, I think it was like a couple years of doing like one-offs.
So we did the Sledgehammer show. Like I said, that was about 7 months or so, and after that, there was a couple more. There was one more that had a little bit of a, that wasn't just like a one-off. It had a little bit more legs. It's called Crash Test. This is before the Wedding Crashers movie and all that sort of thing, but it was a competition hidden camera prank show, one of those. That was
many.
Yeah,
very popular.
Just another one of those. The 2 comedian actor types had to crash the same party and do all this ridiculous shit, and like every bit of like silliness was worth points here, points there, and then it would be kept track of on with graphics when it aired.
You guys probably saw it on Spike TV, right?
Oh, I remember remember seeing
Yeah.
This was like the last show that was ever on Spike TV.
Okay.
Like, I think like literally they're like,
It was a spike through the.
yeah.
We did that, and there was some other one-offs. What was that? You've been pranked, Star Jones style?
Popping the question with Star Jones.
Oh yeah.
And it was like a hidden camera.
Competition wedding proposal.
No, it wasn't like a but it
They're
was
all
like,
competition.
but it was like around punked, and it was popping the question with Star Jones, and it was like hidden camera proposals, and then Star Jones would pop out, and then she would come out and say, "You just got popping the question with Star Jones." Like,
You have to have a catchfach, right? Like, you
but it
have
was
to,
like, but she said the name of the show, and it was like no one knows what that is, and it's grammatically not correct. And like,
Wouldn't she say style at the end a lot of times too? She like,
No.
you just got popping the questions with the Star Jones.
but I remember the
style."
first time that she said it. Me
That
and,
is in my head.
me and the other operator looked at each other and we're like, "What? What does that mean?" Like,
Oftentimes for these pranks, the actors will wear an earwig, like a little like hearing aid sort of thing, so we can talk to them and stuff like that. And people weren't used to wearing them. Sometimes do odd things like answer it. So we'd do like blind date pranks. And there's this one I remember, and the actress, like every time that she was told to say a line, she'd just say, "Okay, yeah, I'll do that," and then say the line. So she'd be like. It actually made for a better prank. The script was good, but like having someone say that before they say anything else and be like, "Yeah, okay, I'll do that."
Just gives away the
They
gag.
had no, like,
or,
were the people not supposed to know that they were like?
no, it was a hidden camera like date.
Yeah,
like,
so
it was just
it-
like, but like before
It was just a
like,
blind date.
social media, you could like set people up on a blind date, and they would go on a blind date, and then it was just like the fucking weirdest person in the entire world.
Hey, I mean, nowadays that would be great advertising for Tinder. If Tinder did fake dates and just
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But like those
should pick
were
that
those were a lot of fun to do because you couldn't find out anything about anybody. Like you couldn't like
yeah.
online
You could just
stalk
Google
them.
somebody.
Yeah, and it was just like
The actors would have to like set the date up and
Oh,
do like all the
yeah,
like
yeah.
the
It
2
was-
weeks out.
it was
Like,
crazy. Yeah,
then,
because
you
and
know,
they
the
would
phone
go on
call
a
the
date
day
with, like,
before.
5 people in one night kind of thing because you want to like especially for boiling points you try to do like multiple people so you can have a couple losers and one winner and then like but they were like literally calling these people and like
Same
it
restaurant?
wasn't even like
Yeah.
just ring up one restaurant.
I'm just like,
Yeah. So you would post up there from like 5:30 to 9:30 and just have like the new blind date come in like
every 45 minutes.
yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And the productions would get good at like the system, so you'd have like a way to like hold the new one if you were still having like fun with the old one, or like speed the new one up if like you had to bail real quick. We didn't have, as the technicians, we weren't really doing that part, but it was something fascinating to watch, like the associate producers and the
like the logistics behind it. Yeah. Did they also have to turn out like the people in the restaurant? Did they change the people that were eating around them?
sometimes, but a lot of times you'd just be like, "Yo, if you like that, be cool, because we're about to do it again."
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, if I posted up at the bar, I'd watch 4 fucking dates fail. That'd be hilarious.
It did become a little bit of dinner theater, where it's like, like they would get dessert when they weren't planning on it and a couple extra drinks and just be like, and sometimes even help us with the release process afterwards, like with clapping
people would
and
clap
stuff.
because they were like, "Oh, this is great. We'll just watch this all night."
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
So you did a couple of the shows, and then you went out and you got your own. Is there like a spy store that you like? Did you like a 007 magazine that you guys bought stuff from, or like?
There was a company that manufactured the goofy eyeball, or not eyeball, but eyeglass cameras, eyeball cameras.
Like the Slinky.
Yeah. The other initial piece of equipment we bought was this little lipstick camera. It's about the size of a half a pen or a cigarette or something like that.
Yeah, like a pen cap.
And that was bought from this company out in Long Island that sold overhead projectors and document like scanners, and it was mostly used as a document or a machine inspection camera. So we got very good at looking for the different search terms, especially in the standard definition days, for like the small camera things like borescope and machine vision. And you're like, well, maybe we could use this. Video conferencing. Our first pan tilt zoom cameras were video conferencing cameras. But I'm like, hey, this puts out a signal, we can record that to clamshell.
But I guess none of those are designed to actually record, right? It's just a feed. So like,
Yeah.
you had to use external recorders, or
We were heavy into mini DV stuff. Like
Okay.
back in the day, we had like a bunch of GVD 1000 clamshells.
did people wear a lot of fanny packs? I guess is like a
Yes.
talent. Is that like
But we also had these like vests that were made that could like you rig up.
They're like made out of back braces for like warehouse,
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like the guys
Like
at
a
Home
girdle.
like the guys
Yeah.
at Home Depot wear.
Yeah.
But we would have that, and it was like a microphone was taped here, and there was like batteries and a
Okay.
little recorder here, and the power supply for the eyeglass camera, and we would just like, especially on boiling points, like there was no like we were just running around and doing shit like that, so we'd be like rigging people up in the bathroom at a Starbucks, like it was like me and some like, especially like with female talent, it was always like weird. You're like, all right, we're gonna go in the bathroom now and like, change your battery and tape, and then you're gonna go fuck
lift
with
your
some.
shirt up and put my hand down your fanny pack.
How-
This
how-
is normal.
how long could you like record? I mean, a DV tape is what, 60 minutes? But
It's
then, like,
66.
how long was did the batteries last for you for any, like, was it a concert, like one prank and then you change and then?
Yeah, usually
that
we'd
kind
go
of
in like do about 30 minutes or so, and then
Yeah, but you would prepare for the whole hour,
Okay.
So like when we were building out the systems, like we spec'd out our own like weirdo batteries because the one company made the thing with one polarity, and then everything else in the world had the other polarity. So you're like, oh, you can only use these batteries for this thing, but then we got these turnarounds, so you could use it for the other thing, and a bunch of like just Frankensteining like garage sort of like things, but. We also weren't really adept at like soldering, or we're not electrical engineers. Like we weren't really going to build stuff. We were just going to like find ways to mush things together in a secure, very shitty rigs.
A lot of tape.
Like
we're very good at electrical tape, very bad at soldering.
Yeah.
yeah. There's one shoot where I had this wireless thing, and it just wasn't working. So I'm like, so Saturday is in Chicago. We were trying to do like car-to-car transmission. The shoot was that night. I was like, let me just open it up. Maybe I can fix it. It just made me feel like I was doing something. I was like, oh, well, snap. I can see that one thing is just unsoldered from that other thing. And if I can get that together, the shoot's saved. And the local sound guy, I didn't know him at all. He had a soldering iron in his kit. So I was like in a garage, like a parking garage, and terrible light. And I'm trying to do it. And I can't do this stuff. I'm not talented at it. So I go and I'm trying to solder the one thing, and my hand slips and I unsolder another connection. So I was like, okay, now I have two things to solder.
I know the solder works.
Yeah. The things at the right temperature. And after I unsoldered the third and the fourth connection, I was just like, oh man, I'm fucked. And I remember another tech had told me he used this thing from Radio Shack. It's good, TV extender. And I was like, there's a Radio Shack a block and a half away. I'm going. And I buy this thing. And luckily enough, I can make it like into a DC thing with what we have. And we ended up using that on shoots all the time. We called the RS1 because we didn't want people to know that we shopped at Radio Shack. And it was really good for car to car.
It was incredible, except sometimes when you went by like a Walgreens, it would pick up the security system from like a Walgreens, and like so you're in the follow van with like a director and it's like agency, and
You're watching guys just
and they're just like, what the fuck is going on? You're like, it's cool. We're just stopped in front of a Walgreens. It will fix itself. And then you like,
it was a Lexus commercial. I mean, like gobs of money was spent on this thing. Like money wasn't the problem, and they'd just be like, don't worry, it'll fix itself as soon as we start moving. Because we would drive away from the Walgreens and they'd lose that signal and pick up the cars again.
That's funny. Was that? But that wasn't actually like recording.
No, everything was
like
recorded in car,
Yeah,
so
okay.
it's just like a hop to monitor. But yeah, it was good old sturdy RS1.
So when you guys were building those body rigs for people that you were changing out in the bathroom, you guys didn't have any like wireless monitoring for that either, right? So you had no idea what you were how would you check that? Would you check it in between when you were doing like changes?
After,
Yeah, and then you'd scrub tape.
Okay.
Yeah, you just think it was terrifying because it was just like, I hope that worked, because there was really only one chance at it.
Yeah.
And then there was times where you're like, oh, that connection became unconnected, and that one camera doesn't have anything.
Like you can figure that stuff out faster now, but like back then, was it sort of like you overshot for every episode just in case you lost something?
You were going to shoot 10 hours anyway.
Yeah, shooting to the sand falls out of the hourglass. But we would just do everything we could to like we'd call bomb proof the rigs, just like stress test them. And if we ever got anything new, we would really make a priority to come up with a routine that we and everyone else would put their hands on and would do it exactly the same way. And, just increase all of your chances. Eventually we got to where you were monitoring everything like full time.
Okay.
And would freak out if you had to like work with any unmonitored like angle. But in the beginning, most of it was unmonitored, and you're just like, I don't know. We'd see one of like 6 cameras.
Oh
yeah,
shit.
Because even sometimes when you monitor it, like you don't know if it was going to tape because you had to like take like a separate. I think about that like
You're not getting the record dot.
No. Like the fucking Pennies commercial where I'd like go around like following an actor with like, and he would try to pay for shit with pennies and like people.
Increasingly more and more expensive shit until we like bought a car with pennies.
Yeah. But we went to one store and the guy's like, I don't give a fuck. Like I'll take pennies. And he's like, but you should go to this other store. This guy fucking hates pennies. So it wasn't even part of the production plan. And like, I went out and talked to the director. I'm like, man, he told us to go to this other store. He's like, let's go.
When did you like flush your morals down the toilet? Is that?
I mean, it's not like, well, I mean.
It's a harmless prank, but like.
But we went to like a deli in the West Village and this dude, like we tried to pay with pennies and the guy fucking lost it. And I don't know if you were on that job, but I had just like
I was.
I think I was transmitting to you and you were transmitting to the agency van.
Yeah.
And it was like the jankiest, but it was like a fucking $500,000 commercial shot on like a little tiny like.
But that's what it was. Like there was no better option. Like,
but they had all the grips, all the electrics. They had the Video Village. They had like a airport shuttle with all like the agency people and all that, and we would like it was just me following this dude around with a fucking bag full of pennies, and like but the guy lost it. It was a blast.
What was it a commercial for?
It was for Staples, and they wanted to be turned down. They'd be like, they won't take your pennies, but we will. Shop here at Back to School.
It was like a back to school, like you can buy pencils for a penny kind of thing. We like everything's like a
penny
sale.
days at
It was Office Depot or something. I should know that, but that was like 20 years ago.
Did you get a car?
So we went and the pennies thing was interesting and fascinating in so many ways. But they got a pickup truck and made like a styrofoam, shell of what a pile of pennies would look like, and then it takes thousands of pennies to just coat that and glue them all on so that they don't all like fly away when you're driving around and stuff like that. So we had that parked right outside one of those like car dealerships out on Queens Avenue or Queens Boulevard sort of thing. Had our actor go and like negotiate the price for this used car, and he's like, okay, he's like, you take cash though. Can I get a better price for cash? And they're like, oh yeah, you're not finding it, whatever.
We love cash.
So he's like, okay, it's in my truck over here. I'll go pull it in. I can't remember if we brought the guy over to the sidewalk or we pulled the truck in, but then it looks like it's a big truck full of pennies, and he's like, no, I can't take all those pennies. That year, and then the next year, they got this wild, like 5-story mansion in
it was like
Upper
Jeffrey
East Side.
Epstein's mansion.
Probably. then they got it because there was an honest to God vault, like a Scrooge McDuck fucking vault in the basement with like, and they loaded that thing up with pennies, $10,000 worth of pennies.
Damn.
It's a lot of pennies.
I'm sure the bank loved that.
Simple to get $10,000 worth of pennies.
So easy.
You give somebody $10,000 and they're eager. They'll deliver.
Wow.
What you cannot do is get someone to give you $10,000 for $10,000 worth of pennies. And they ended up having like all that in storage for years, because they just couldn't find anyone to like give them like full freight for the pennies. And I think they eventually sold them off for like, pennies on the dollar, if you excuse the pun.
But we
Melt them down and sell the copper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
For like years, there would be like we'd find pennies in cases. We're like, fuck. It was just like I thought we got rid of all of these, and you just like
the
find
glitter
it.
of- the
Yeah,
glitter
it
of
was
money.
like it was totally like
The glitter of money. So at what point did you, I guess, transition from working as staff production assistants to, I guess, being known as the guys who could do this kind of work and then start getting the client yourself?
But I
probably
would
after
say,
Boiling Points.
after we use the hidden camera stuff to help break us out of being like production assistants and camera assistants. When we weren't doing the hidden camera stuff, after PAing for a while, we eventually were chasing around documentary or reality. Reality wasn't really a thing quite then, so it was more like the documentary camera people. We kind of fell in with walk and talks. You do B-roll. You light the simple interview on location sort of work. So that was fine. We could get that work sometimes. We were still PAing a little bit. And we're like, okay, if we buy this stuff, then we can become like owner operators for the weirdo hidden camera stuff when people call. And that'll be nice, and we'll make a decent rate. We thought it'd be a little bit, a couple times a year, or maybe there's a good job here or a good job there. What it turned out being is we kind of did get the tiger by the tail, and there was just a lot. And people wanted to do a lot of this stuff, and the network kind of quickly found out, like, camera and audio networks around, just like, oh, Chris and Andrew know how, like they have experience, or they'll take that call that you don't want to mess with. Like we kind of built a reputation for like when the camera guy you usually use for like the normal stuff doesn't want to do it, they'll tell them to call us.
Okay. Was there something that like set you guys apart, or was it just your experience?
It was our willingness to say yes and to fiddle around with like odd tech.
That, like, because nothing was like off the shelf exactly what we needed. So we kind of always had to like get this one thing and two other things to make the thing that we needed. And then we had to like fuck with it a little bit to make it work how we wanted it to work. But then I think like, when we were doing Boiling Points, I think we shot 5 days a week, 2 segments a day for almost 2 years. So like, after that, like we had, reps in. So, like we always say, like, if you call us, you're buying we already paid for the mistakes. You don't have to buy them this time, sort of thing. So it was like, yeah, that sounds good, but we did something like this and that's not going to work. So,
and a lot of the early work, honestly, I kind of forget about this, but a lot of the earlier work was we tried this ourselves. It went miserably. Mm-hmm. So now we're going to spend money on a company and a service, we were just redoing. And that was really kind of great because...
Oh, they tried it themselves.
Yeah. They tried
and
it
then
them-
they came to you. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Because they're like, oh, we Googled hidden camera and we got it and it didn't work.
Right.
Can you guys, like, how would you guys do it?
Okay.
So we would come in, and it was nice because some of what they tried would have worked, and you get to see that and be like, okay, keep those parts. And then like they'll tell you exactly what they were frustrated with or what didn't work, and you just make sure you over deliver on that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so like your client base, is I don't want to say easy, but like it really helped keeping them happy. Kind of redoing stuff. They would have learned things about producing the thing that they wanted to produce, and they would produce it better probably than they did the first shot at it. So that was a benefit to us as well. And a lot of times they would come to us, the camera guys, the hidden camera guys because they were unsatisfied with the audio on their first go of the hidden camera stuff.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, okay. And they're like, what camera things did you want to see better? And they're like, oh, no, that's fine.
Oh,
Like, okay, we'll make sure you get good camera and audio.
So what were your audio tricks? Was it just like better lavs or like
Hiring an audio person mostly.
Okay.
Like, I mean, there was like one job that we used to do, that weird Meet the Creeps thing.
Yeah.
Where they were like, oh, the audio's so bad. I'm like, well, who's your audio person? They're like, we don't have an audio person. I'm like, well, I mean, I would hire an audio person. That'd be like the first thing.
Step one,
and they're like, okay. And so, we did.
But it's not like you're not throwing a boom in there because that defeats the whole purpose.
No,
Like,
I mean, there's definitely like little tricks that you can do and like a little bit of trial and error in terms of like, oh, we thought this would work well and it didn't. But like, yeah, you can't really.
The people who don't do the hidden camera audio are always like, can we get a parabolic mic? Because they see it at the football game or whatever. And you'd be like, we can, but like, it's going to be weird in the restaurant, like to have the person over there, like looking through the crosshairs. Because if it's not aimed perfectly, it just, like this is cool and you're going to hear it. That's not.
Just a waiter walking by.
Yeah. So, but the same thing with us and our like hiding the camera tricks and like, stitching up like things, the audio people over time, you build a long list of cheap tricks that.
Do you have like an in-house guy at this point?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. And then there's some other things that they're really good at too. When you're dealing with a lot of like open mics and room mics, it can be a little hard to hear. So, sitting at a professional board with the right mind and ears for it, they can EQ out a lot of the noise so that like when you're like directing or camera operating on a segment, you can hear what the off mic person is saying, and that really helps you do a much better job because you like go shoot the thing they talked about or just be more prepared.
Is going back for like B-roll ever a thing kind of?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But you do that after the
Yeah,
people
sometimes
leave?
you do some pickup shots like wild lines of like kind of like the script sometimes, but to kind of like make sure that you get it.
And every production will have its own sort of like
style.
Yeah, or their own style, their own like line of like how real they want it to be or how unreal, And for like some of the more investigative or like news or documentary stuff, they don't want to cheat anything because it just wouldn't be documentarian to do that. Entertaining prank shows that just want to get a laugh, screw it, make the script, afterwards what you need it to be. If you need a kind of funny thing. I used to do this thing in off times when I was wearing a body rig and I would just go up and I would to random people and I'd be like, wah! And so they'd go, ugh! And they'd be like, what are you doing that for? I was like, I don't know, they can drop it in anywhere, It's like our actor, like does
just
whatever.
Like a cutaway?
Yeah, and then you have somebody on the park bench going, huh? It's like, and is that a documentarian to do that? No, absolutely not. It would not have flown on Hoop Dreams, but
after we worked on Boiling Points was over, we got hired to work on What Would You Do for ABC News. And again, it was news. They don't do any pickups. Boiling Points would just like say jokes, and sometimes the producers would be like, oh, say this, kind of thing. And it was a very serious thing for What Would You Do. I think it was like a spousal abuse, but I think it was like the woman being abusive to the man. And we're like in this van, like with monitors up and watching this stuff happen. And I think Chris was like, you should get the guy to say this.
I was like, it'd be funny if you had the actor say this.
And it would have been, but the producer looked at us like, what the fuck is wrong with these?
Wrong time and place.
Yeah, but he was like, why would he say, or like,
he's like, this is a news program.
Yeah.
We can't say things like that. I was like, well, you don't have to use it. I was just saying, it'd be funny if he said it.
And do it for the real.
And it'll move the segment in the right direction, and then you can just kind of pick up your ethical dilemma after we get my joke in there. And I think they'll make the ethical dilemma go more ethically, or more dilemma-ly. competition.
It was hard to kind of get out of that mindset of doing that for like every day for 2 years. Even like it seeped into your like personal life because you're like, I just at a restaurant and you're like kind of fucking with people or whatever. And you're like, stop acting like that.
Did you guys have goals per episode, or was it kind of just like, let's shoot everything we can and then they'll edit the episodes later?
No, there's definitely goals. Boiling Points was a game show at its heart, where if you could, as the Mark, the unsuspecting person caught in the trap, if you could get through the whole script, you'd win $100.
Oh, okay.
And that other one we mentioned, Sledgehammer on VH1, that didn't have like a game show element. So then, you would just kind of do it, but there would be a setup for the jokes. Like when we're introducing the joke, we have a couple like other like one-liners or like setups that we want to hit, and then usually a button. I did work on this prank show for Nick at Night, where it was parents pranking their children. It was so much fun. That one was at times could be a bit one note. It'd just be like, we're just gonna have this kid limbo under this thing, and you'd be like, okay. I brought like a crew of 10 people down here and set up 16 cameras for that. That's weird. But
So the parents would come up with the pranks for the kid?
no, production would come up with the pranks, and then parents would like sign that. Yeah, it was a lot to learn on that show. It was fun. Kids are cute, but like kids cry. They're prone to tears. So we learned like, because you'd have a single of the kid who was about to cry, and you'd see all this blinking. After like 4 or 5 shoots, you'd be like, oh, when they start blinking past like that, that means they're going to cry. So then that was nice for us as a camera operator, because you could be over to the producer and be like, I know I might have that actor ease up a little bit. This kid's about to go. Crying kids make terrible television. No one wants to watch kids cry on TV. They don't. And then the kid would cry, and you'd be like, well, the segment's over.
Now you have like weird case studies that you can like sell to psychology like studies and stuff.
But I mean, a little bit of a lot of the experience that we bring is like, this is not a good idea, or like you should pull the plug now because you're kind of past the point of diminishing returns. And
you got all the haha you can get now. Anymore, you might not get a signature on that release.
Do you have like one kind of like, I'll call it a stunt, or like, do you have one thing that a ton of people kind of come to you to do the same thing over and over again? Like,
I think the prank we've done the most, without any honest stats on it, is the 1 millionth shopper at a grocery store.
Where like the person like, hey, let me cut in front of you. I just have one item.
Oh, okay.
And then you got a cart full of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
And then they bring out the big check. Balloons come down.
The person that cuts, is that like your plan?
Now
that's an actor.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, go in front of this guy. And then people are like, this is bullshit.
No. No good deed goes unpunished sort of prank. And even though we've done that, I don't know, maybe 12 times, honestly. Mm-hmm. If someone called me up right now, it's like, I got a 1 millionth shopper, I'm like, I'm so here for it. Like,
is that like internal use usually? Like, I don't even know what would that be on right now? Like, is it like a social media type?
I think we did one for like Ally Bank.
Yeah.
I know we did one for, what was that? Earth Angels,
whatever prank show we were working on. Boiling Points, we did it.
I think
Sledgehammer, we did it. Yeah, we just made it musical somehow. Prankville, we did it. And made it seem like it was in the country. Because it's just a good bit. It's just a wonderful setup. Earth Angels one was funny though, because that was the one where the teenagers showed up with like 4 balloons left, because they had these teenagers who were the kids of the effects company that they hired for like a confetti cannon and balloon drop. The show itself was almost like a Queer Eye setup, where there was these 5 Earth Angels, and they all had their own little specialty, and they were going to prank the living hell out of this wonderful lady from Baltimore for 3 days.
Just the same lady?
Yeah.
Same lady and her daughter, who lived paycheck to paycheck. Every Sunday, every weekend, she took whatever leftover she had, spent the money at the store across the street getting sandwich stuff and made bag lunches for the homeless people of Baltimore. Her and her daughter would just go and hand out these things. Unbelievable person. So the idea of the show,
You guys chose to fuck with her for multiple.
No, but like
we did not make any of these
we're
choices.
contractors.
Work
We're
for hire.
contractors. Yeah.
What they did to this lady is
This wasn't our idea.
We just shot
Just help
it.
facilitate it.
Yeah, we just documented it. We're not assholes.
we just work for assholes.
Yeah.
The guy who was running that show, he gave us the best mashup of shows list, and he did this like so many different times throughout the project. He's like, it's
It was like the
home
5
makeover.
biggest
Like,
shows on TV.
yeah,
He's like, it's
extreme
this,
home
it's this, it's
makeover.
this.
You know. So first they shut down the ladies' like charity business.
They sent like a
destroyed her
like
minivan.
Like we literally had like a effects company get a ladder and like ram his truck into her van and break it, like
so that we we could like take it to the body shop, you know, and she's like, okay,
and install cameras in it.
Jesus Christ.
but also turn it around so it'd be a Meals on Wheels vehicle.
Yeah.
You know, so like they like tricked it out so that she could deliver these meals better. That one, she got to be the 1 millionth shopper.
Yeah. And then she won like a bunch of sandwich meat.
Yeah, so she ran around spent all of her time just getting food for the homeless.
Okay.
You know, like it's wonderful sort of thing. And then they eventually got her a real legit commercial space to run her charity out of.
Like an industrial kitchen or something like that.
And was it Michael Kors?
Paul
Mitchell.
Paul Mitchell.
Paul Mitchell, who actually like experienced homelessness and like started
Super
his
cool
whole
guy.
thing. When he was homeless, he started his company. So he's like, I'm going to hook her up and mentor her, and like gave her like tons of free shit and, you know, like the whole thing. And then they like, we're going to take her daughter. Like,
So weird. But I'm just
Call
not-
Liam Neeson.
not for good, you know, but
no.
they were like, and your daughter gets to be one of the Earth Angels now. We'll have 6 Earth Angels. It was
But
the
I was
pilot.
just thinking about that, like how much, like when you're in like a small town, like the cops helped us a lot to
That's so
wreck this lady's car.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so over the course of how long?
Like 4 days.
And
something
then you're doing all this before she's even signed a release or anything, right?
yeah,
That's right.
So how do you like then? What is it like?
it's really not our
It's
problem.
really great to be the camera
no,
crew on
okay,
this.
okay.
Yeah,
You know?
like, I can steer you towards some best recommendations and some, but
Yeah,
really
it's
not
just
our
a, like I'm
problem.
getting paid no matter what kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
like,
I'm gonna make
look,
sure that's in the
most,
contract,
Like,
yeah.
it's one of those things. Like, you know, with one of those, we call them think pranks. You know, like most likely they're gonna sign.
because everything at the end did turn out better for her.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
okay.
yes.
But there are, you know, kind of going
Sort of
back,
rough week.
going back to like the kids about to cry. We did this Burger King commercial where they took the Whopper off the menu, and like people
can't
were
do
like,
that.
come in and be like, this dude like was flipping, like about to flip out, like, and I saw his like anger manifest in his body, rattle up his neck. You saw it, like
You saw the aneurysm going.
yeah, and he literally was like,
I'd never seen it before or after.
I was like, dude, you guys want to pull the plug now? He's not going to sign a release. And they're like, it's cool. And I'm like, I'm telling you,
It's not cool.
it's not cool. The Burger King comes out, and like he's got like a camera like punked reveal, comes out with like a silver platter with like a burger.
Finally,
like
your Whopper.
Finally, your Whopper. And the guy like picks up the Whopper and like pegs the camera operator and fucking splits. And like I was like, I fucking told you he wasn't gonna sign. But they like tracked him down because like he was wearing like a work shirt, so they called that company and they like called his wife. He came back, signed for like $300 Burger King or something like that.
It's not
which
even real- not
I don't
even
even know
real
what that
money. Yeah,
means, but like supposedly he ate there like every day and he really liked Whoppers. But the story I heard was they ended up like cutting him into like 30 spots, like use his voice for like the end card because he was. incredible. He was, and again, like super patient dude, but like we fucked
Was
with
a
him for
Buddhist.
like, yeah, it was a Buddhist, but like literally like this interaction that should take like less than 60 seconds was like 9 minutes of just like poking the bear for like 8. And then finally he snapped. But I heard that like he ended up like he had to like sign up for like SAG and ended up getting paid like $100,000
because then he's getting residuals.
He was
off
getting
of the
residuals, all
subsequent.
that, yeah.
Okay, because that's the. I mean, I guess as talent, make note like when you're negotiating your contract, put stuff in there for yourself.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. He
But,
just
like-
kept saying over and over, I came in. I ordered a Whopper. I'm a Buddhist. I paid in change. And he did. All those things were true. Well, I take him on his word about the Buddhism. But
kind of look Buddhist. But it was also like the first time that we really did a commercial, like a hidden camera commercial, and they were like, we don't even know if this is gonna fucking work, but it was like very like scripted.
Yeah.
Like
well, they knew what they wanted.
they knew what they wanted, and they're like, I go, no one's ever gonna say like, I don't want a
yeah.
square burger, because I think we tried
'Cause
to
that was
give
in
them
the
like a
Oh, they wanted like the Wendy. Like
Yeah,
they
gave him
to,
like a
and we
Wendy's
did
burger.
that. And it was in the script. And we're like, see the script. We're like, no one, like,
They
no
had to
one's gonna
get
care
someone
what.
to say, "I don't want a square burger."
That's what they were hoping.
That's what they were hoping.
Yeah.
But like when you're Burger King, you're like, we just spent a lot of money.
Whoppers
We
around.
want someone to say we don't want a square burger. We're like, no one's ever gonna say this. And this dude was like literally, it was like he was reading the script.
I don't eat square burgers.
It was like check, like everything
You're
that
playing bingo. In
yeah,
the back.
and we were just like, oh my god.
It was then I started telling everyone I was allergic to bear-shaped food.
You just don't eat gummy bears.
Gummy bears, Teddy Grahams, honey from that jar. All bear-shaped food. It was bad for me.
Did you guys ever try to do extra tie-ins? Did a sponsor ever come onto a show? Like not a commercial, obviously, but did they ever try to like plant stuff in the hidden camera stuff?
Not that I can think of.
Not that I can think
we
of.
did the commercials, but that's
Yeah.
more straightforward stuff. But yeah,
That kind of sponsorship wasn't really a thing 20 years ago, but now it's
No,
everywhere.
I mean, I think like in Practical Jokers, like we worked on the first couple seasons of that, but
You
I
bastards.
think,
Again, we're just workers.
but I think they would do like stuff at like White Castle and shit like that. So like they would get paid. I'm assuming they would get paid by White Castle to be there, but
Oh, so like at that restaurant or whatever. To like,
yeah,
Okay. Yeah. I'm just thinking about like now, like I know with streaming, like a lot of the product placement and like commercials and stuff like that, it's like paid for beforehand. So like they'll donate the product and you get this much money and it's this stand is going to be in the background of this scene or whatever,
yeah.
So it's,
I mean,
it'll
if
be eating Doritos. At
yeah,
the
exactly.
thing.
Exactly.
if ever happened, none of that money ever. We never saw any of that money. Yeah.
But I mean, we would have been clued into it just based on like direction that we
Camera
got for camera.
angles.
Yeah, and be
Okay.
like make sure you get that or like heard it. So yeah, no, it's interesting.
I feel like GoPro should sponsor.
No,
Like,
no,
You guys don't do GoPros.
we steer away from that as much as possible.
is it? I mean, has your technology like evolved? Like, what's I'm assuming you're not building your own cameras or anything like that. But now, like, every cell phone has a camera that's that small. Like, do you have like, has your workflow changed because of that? Or
Yes and no. I think because there is so much of that around, not much of it is being made. It was actually easier to find more clever stuff in the standard def days.
because
than-
everybody thinks they're a mark now.
Well, cameras are everywhere now, just everywhere. If you're not on someone's surveillance, then somebody has like 4 lenses in their pocket at all times. 3 going one way, 1 coming back at you. So I think it's just the perception that you're not going to be on camera isn't around.
Okay.
Like you walk around the world, you're on camera. If you're not in the woods, you're on camera.
When we used robotics more, like little hotheads.
Like hiding them in things, or
Yeah. So more so, early on, we would get someone call, be like, "Can I get a price on 3 hidden cameras?" And that's all they'd tell you.
Okay, that's not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. $10 million.
Yeah, send me an address. I'll send you the 3 hidden cameras in a box.
Yeah.
Like if you can't find them, in that box, it's because they're hidden. Check, hopefully it clears. So what we would tell people is that, like, there are hidden cameras, the nanny cams and things like that, where it's like buried in a clock, or it's, you know, in the necktie, you know, or what's the line? Is bow ties really a camera from that song? Those things tend to not work well in professional video editing systems. They don't take time code. The audio is weird. They're just made to do the odd codecs and stuff like that. They're just, you're going to be unhappy with some part of it at some point, if not all of it entirely.
Okay.
So we would try to hide good professional cameras, the best we could come up with. So you're always working a little bit of a, you know, compromise calculation. You know, it's like, what can we give up in quality for size or for the ability to hide it, or just make sure someone doesn't notice it. So, like, I don't need the camera to look like something else if you're just never going to see it, or if I'm going to put it behind glass or put it in a dark corner that you just can't.
You don't really look over there.
So that's more the approach we went to. The body worn stuff has to be like kind of different and have some sort of way to blend in. But that's been less and less of that stuff. I think people just do with their phone, your cop cameras, you know, like those, like, you know, body cameras. Like, that stuff is just also around.
Okay.
That it hasn't made it into. Also, the pandemic has the amount of hidden camera work has just really decreased tremendously since then.
You know, two things about that. Like, one, it's all about the reactions of people, like, especially as they process, like, what the fuck is going on? And then, like, especially as they, like, build up and, like, say anything, like, it's hard to tell.
This can't be real.
It's hard to tell in a wide shot, and it is really just kind of like Chris was saying, like, I'll just go up and, like, say boo to somebody to get a reaction, but you have that nice tight shot of that reaction and you can use that. But, like, the reactions are what really, like, help tell the story. And in a wide, if you have 4 GoPros in a room, it's like, cool, I'm kind of from a wide shot to a wide shot, or even if you tighten up the field of view, you know, you're hoping that person lands in that spot. You know, it's almost like just having a flashlight in a dark room and hoping that they react in the part that the flashlight's illuminating. Yeah. So with the robotic stuff is, you know, you can pan and tilt and zoom in, and you have like a bigger field of play that you can kind of cover. It's easier to tell the story, I think, because you can get better reactions.
Right.
Do you guys ever get requests from like your clients to use cinema cameras to any degree, or do you guys always? And how does that work into the mix of stuff? Like, obviously, it's a bigger body, you have to hide somewhere. So is your operator like farther away and a longer lens kind of thing?
Yeah. So there's like the different ways to approach it. Backing off with longer lenses is great. Sometimes you'll throw up some scaffolding so you can have the ability to get over people's heads. That was fun. Back in the day, you put like those box lenses that they use at the baseball game on. You know, it's like a 99 times zoom. It's kind of fun to fiddle around with.
A spot on Fifth Avenue at like maybe 34th Street where it starts to slowly drop down, so you could put it like 2 blocks up, and you're like kind of shooting over everybody's head, and it was a lot of fun.
You could grab somebody's like single and track a nice tight single for 2 blocks because you always had them just a head above the person that they were walking behind.
How many weird spots do you have picked out in New York?
We were set up early there one time, and it was a little bit up, maybe I think we're 10 blocks up from 34th Street, and you know, we were going to be shooting north, but I had 10-foot scaffolding, and I had the camera up there, and was just fire watching, and the cops roll up, like 3 of them with flashers on and stuff like that. I was like, oh, I'm like, I had a permit, you know, like they come up and they're like, some lady called. She said you were pointing a cannon at the Empire State Building. I'm like, huh? Like I'm Wile E. Coyote, and like my weapons are like labeled, you know? Like that's what the lady said, and I was like, well, it is a Canon lens,
right?
And it did say Canon on the side of it, pretty big,
hilarious,
like a big 66 by sports lens,
right?
But like, we just They were the best.
What's this new Nikon gun they've got?
Yeah.
I see something, say something. That man has a cannon pointed straight at the Empire State Building. He's going to shoot it down.
For hiding that stuff, did you guys get to build a lot of sets? Was that ever a thing that was like, do you make a completely fabricated like new coffee shop or something that people come into?
Not on the East Coast, on the West Coast.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's like a West Coast style. We kind of nose up on it.
Well,
I don't know. I'm a little snobby about it.
yeah. I think
You
for
would prefer
like,
to use a real location versus a built one.
I'm saying, you know.
yeah. But like the telekinetic coffee shop thing we did, they built like a false wall for all the stunt stuff.
In a real coffee shop.
In a real coffee shop.
And it wasn't to hide the cameras, it was
Yeah,
to hide the stunt, which had to be done.
Yeah,
but
but like
like
sometimes you do like a false wall to put cameras behind it. But
he's a little bit more forgiven on it. But
You,
no,
you
I mean,
sound more like a purist when
Yeah,
it comes
yeah,
to
man.
the hidden camera stuff.
it's a little bit of a joke because like when we were doing Boiling Points, MTV was also putting out Punked, and there's two things that really got my goat, especially. Punked had a big budget and we did not.
Yeah.
So like they could do whatever they could build walls. We could not. Like
Right.
if we requested anything more than lunch, we were just like looked at like there's no.
But they were also seeking out like the point of that was to like find a specific target. Like their
Their targets
had a
were also
person.
celebrities.
This-
for most of it,
You were
yeah.
everyday people. That
This
was,
Yeah.
brings me to my other point.
Okay.
We would prank somebody and they'd be like, "Am I getting punked?" I'm like, "Are you famous?
right.
If you're not famous, no, you're getting pranked by an asshole.
yeah,
If you're famous, then you can get punked, but you're not famous, so you're just an asshole."
Maybe they
getting
were.
pranked.
Did you?
No.
Did you ever?
Yes.
Did you ever prank a famous person? Like,
Yeah, this is one of my favorites. We were going around for a pilot of this little kid pranking people, almost like an Andy Milonakis sort
I
of
think it's
thing.
called Little Stinkers.
Little stinkers.
Wasn't he like 30 though?
Yeah,
but this
but
was,
it was-
it wasn't with him.
It wasn't
It wasn't
with
with
him.
him.
It was
but it
his
was-
style, yeah.
And you know, the main talent for doing all the pranks were going to be kids doing like grown-up shit, engaging. So we're running around town and we're like, prank this person, prank that person. We get down to Tribeca and we set up outside of this coffee shop, put our kid on the like park bench that's like right in front of this coffee shop, and Parker Posey sits down. And we all look at each other in the van. We're just like,
No way.
no way. This is a non-airable pilot. Like it was never going to be on the air. We weren't even getting releases from people. Like it was
Oh,
just a proof
okay.
of concept. So we're just like, hell yeah, man, let's run this shit. Run the whole thing on her and her buddy, and it goes over well. You know, the jokes land. She gives the good stuff. And in the end, they're like, you know, come off with the release, and she's like, I deserve this today. And you're like, huh? And she's like, well, me and my buddy, we've been rolling around, and like a couple hours ago, we rolled up on a film set, and I just went to Crafty, and I was like, what the fuck is all this shit? This is none of my stuff. I didn't order. And she just is like, had some fun and just like freaked out the Crafty people and some PA for some project she was not on. And then they all like split to go do her biddings, and they ran, you know?
Oh, man.
So I was like, those two things would have been enough. We take a moment. We kind of are like seeing inside through the window, and Bobby De Niro's in the coffee shop. And so they're like, it looks like he's about finishing up what he's doing. They're like, he's going to walk out next. And I'm like, do we get him? You know, like it's a whole different thing. You know, it's not Parker Posey. And then like, what you're going to cut together this proof of concept with like all
Just
this
fucking famous
high level
people.
celebrity talent that you'll never deliver. You know, it's like not what they were trying to do. So they're like, no, like get the kid out of there. We can, one famous
You're
person's
like,
one
this
too
is, this
many.
is for us. This is for us.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, I don't remember grabbing anyone. Well, there was Lady Gaga,
Lady Gaga.
but she wasn't Lady
She-
Gaga
yeah.
yet. She was just Stephanie.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think she
really?
was
Yeah.
just like a
This is
kid.
when she was still in college. Or
Yeah, I
something?
think she was like
Oh, wow.
because we used to fuck around with like NYU
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
And
To recruit people. Is that?
well,
No,
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 just like
that's-
set up a location because it was just like a good turnover of a
Oh.
location. You know, like
Right.
people would come get a slice of pizza,
High
eat,
foot
and then
traffic.
Yeah.
high foot
Okay.
traffic.
In the
so-
right demographic age.
Yeah.
Like they didn't want to be pranking old people on the show for teenagers, you
Okay.
know, like, so yeah, I think she might've been like, you have to have a reservation, like a completely empty restaurant. And then they're just like, no, you have to have a reservation. And they'd be like, but there's no one in there. It's lunchtime.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you know.
That happened to me. This was I never even thought about the fact that it could have been a prank, but I remember I went to a restaurant once and they were like, you need to have a reservation.
Was there music playing?
No.
And was it really bright?
No. That's the thing. Now, like,
Was there
literally,
a guy in a scaffolding with a camera?
I know what like a hidden camera show looks like, but it's like we just went into a restaurant, and I remember we went out to the street, and we just we're like, hold on, let's check their website, and we just went to book a table, and we booked one for 5 minutes later, and we went back in, we're like, we have a reservation now.
Yeah, if it's a prank, that wouldn't have worked.
No,
Yeah.
because but I just remember talking to the host, like, you're the worst host in the world because you're driving away customers. Your point is to bring them in.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but
There's a couple things like, like you go somewhere, you're like, yeah, this doesn't add up.
Right.
This feels like a hidden camera show, and I'm out.
Yeah.
So
I think I like I don't know if it's changed or anything like that, but like the Impractical Jokers episode that I walked into, like it was literally it was like a OBS camera or something, like in like a bot camera in all four corners of the store, like not hidden, like it's just there.
Yeah.
And so it's like they're banking on like the complete obliviousness of people. But like I remember walking in and just looking at the guy on the counter and be like, I know what's happening. I would like my sandwich. Don't fuck with me. I need my sandwich.
but like there's three great
it
lines.
still took 45 fucking minutes.
There's three great lines in that but they can that's usable.
That was the line they wanted.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I just want my fucking sandwich. I'm like, great.
Yeah, this
Release
guy's
him.
gold. The only thing we can't do is give this guy his sandwich.
Yeah.
That was one of the things we learned on prank shows is you had to have something from somebody.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they just leave. So you'd
Right.
be like,
Yeah.
get their credit card, get their jacket, get
Oh,
anything. Get something of theirs. Have it. Don't give it back.
it's like a car dealership.
Totally. Yeah.
Worse. Yeah.
Do you guys, I mean, are you weary now when you go out into the real world of like possible traps for hidden camera stuff? Like,
have you been got?
No, I think Letterman tried to get me one time. I came up out of the subway and a very, very, very attractive woman wanted to talk to me. It doesn't happen, except for when my wife wants to talk to me.
Good save.
nice.
And then I saw a bunch of people with clipboards specifically not looking at me. And I was like, I'm out of here. Yeah. Went across the street and just watched them do their next thing. Meant to watch the show that night to see what it was, but forgot. But I was like, it was right. I was like,
Right, like
yeah.
outside this
Walking
one.
right into it. Yeah.
I think I'd be somewhat hard to get at this point. But yeah, everybody has those days where you're just not really like thinking about other things other than what's really on your mind or whatever. And so I think anyone could get got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's like a harder setup for you guys? Like, is a car harder than like a coffee shop or something? Like,
Cars are hard because, especially with like good cameras, it's hard to hide those. Nightclubs, dark places.
you don't only do hidden stuff.
No.
Like you've
No, yeah.
like do you have clients that are coming to you because you do know how to rig a car or something like that? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. At times.
Yeah, like we did Cash Cab
Oh, nice.
when it got rebooted, and then we did like Storm Chasers, which was all like in-car rigs. But a lot of the stuff that we're doing now is either like house reality, like rig up a house, multicam competition shows, still do some hidden camera stuff, and like kind of real people
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
so it's basically like, like if it's a cooking show, like we have to get the top down shot. We have to get like a shot from out here. Like, is it almost more of like a consulting thing that?
Yeah, well, it's like a lot of like fly packs and like setting up the back end, monitoring, multicam, live to tape. I would say are thread throughs for most of our work.
Okay.
Like it's not a live shot. We're not the baseball game. We're not the basketball game. It's not being broadcast live. But what is being captured isn't recreatable. Whether it's reality, a prank, cooking competition, which does play out a little bit more like the sports, but so no redos and like mission critical with some like flexibility and on a budget.
Yeah. The other thing is like, like you don't need a bunch of like HMIs. You don't need a ton of grip, but you do need some lights. You need some grip. So we have like our truck is like have all these kind of like kits of stuff that like over the past 10 years, 20 years or whatever that we've like allow us to work fast and work quickly. And then like our people know like, oh, that thing is in this one kit. And that's like a little, oh shit thing that can like help us rig a camera or like hide a camera or like integrate the audio and the video quickly. So, cause it is like, you know, you're in a location, you're a guest in somebody's house, essentially.
Right.
You don't have like a ton of time. Most likely, they're not paying a location fee to the you know restaurant you're shooting in.
Buy it out.
Yeah, so it's like you know you have to work quick. So like a lot of the you know kind of like back end systems are like things that we've built to let us work fast.
And I'm sure like data management's got to be like what's the most number of cameras you guys have set up for somebody? Because like just holding the footage alone at the like now has to be crazy.
Yeah.
We did a Super Bowl commercial that had 58 camera positions in a big gauntlet that the marks would go through. And yeah, that's a lot of data.
Are they all constantly rolling, or have you kind of set up like they're not in this area, so this one's not like, or is everything remote controlled at this point? Like
that one was like 6 locations, you know, like from the like meatpacking district all the way down to like World Trade Center with like
but even
a limo rig and them.
Yeah, like once they leave that space, you cut those cameras. But sometimes like if you're doing it in here, you just leave them all rolling because it's almost easier to sync everything once than like starting and stopping. And so there's a little bit of that, but
and some of those routines have changed throughout the years. Like back in the mini DV rolling tape, if you didn't roll fat the whole time, you were screwing post over.
Right.
Yeah, if you're like really stopping and starting, because I would start and stop at a different point when he would, and then it's just like there's no even if you got a slate, like
but now they might prefer more clips, and you know because it's going to line up easy, or you know like
you kind of never know what you're going to get is really the whole mindset too. Like okay.
Yeah, but all in all, it's you know technology moves fast, and you know some of the stuff you need to move with, and some of the stuff isn't you know pertain to us. So.
Are you still using RS1? Is that like the
No,
tech that stayed around?
Do you guys need to write that? No, I think when it did die, we were both really sad.
It's been retired, but not recycled or
like
anything.
A memory, like a in memoriam plaque in there.
we do have one case, one glass case that was probably originally acquired to hide a pan tilt zoom camera, but now just hosts our boneyard.
Did you guys ever have, I mean, I imagine especially in the mini DV days where you don't have a monitor to like see what you're getting, was there ever takes where like it was a great performance or great reactions, but then you went and checked the tape and it wasn't there?
Yeah, but you scrub those from your memory. I mean, they're all built in there. Like the PTSD is there for you know to make sure you're looking for that little red dot or whatever kind of record confidence in your life. But the worst one, back when you couldn't monitor full time, if you knew that there was something that good that happened, you would want to show the client when you were scrubbing playback. And one time I hit format instead of play.
Ooh.
Yeah. I was just like, that thing I was going to show you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I forgot. That was a dream.
I just erased it.
Yeah.
But,
like the switch from like tape to like solid state, just like it wasn't ready yet for what we were doing. And it was just a nightmare. Like we have like a dozen nano flashes and like they were all like 200 degrees. Like if you touched it, it was hot. And it was like, oh, please keep rolling until I like hit stop. And then you hit stop and then it would be like file error. It didn't work. And you're like, okay, like now you're like,
it would say stopping and give you like some dots.
Yeah.
The dots would just keep on.
And the dots would move.
Keep
And
dotting.
you had to wait until they stopped dotting to find out if it gave you an okay.
Yeah.
Or
So-
sorry,
Is
buddy.
and that was just because they weren't designed for that long of a take, or like the right speed, or like what
Both.
yeah, it's
You
just
it was
the
like
card right speed in the end, you know. But like these things were, built and they're getting firmware updates and like they're like finding out the problem. It's eventually the company was Convergent Design, which made the Odyssey. Which the Odyssey is like from finding out all the things that the Nano Flash didn't do well. Like we can make this other thing. And we'll go to SSD drives and put the compact flash back behind us. And
Do you have stock in SanDisk at this point? Is it like
no,
No, but it does make me mad. Like we used to buy like a 32 gig CF card. It was like the fastest, the best one you could. It was like
$400?
$400, and like you can buy that for like $2 now, kind of thing. And it was just like we had tens of thousands of dollars worth of CF cards, and they were just obsolete within like 6 months, kind of thing.
right?
you're like, well, eventually the price will come down for all this stuff, and it'll be like tape, and it'll be masters, and we're still not there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe with SSDs you could probably do that now.
Well,
but
if everybody just
no
did
one does.
CF.
If everybody,
If everybody just did CF
I mean,
instead.
if every camera company picked one sort of like format,
No.
not one proprietary card per camera.
yeah. It was like P2 cards. And it was
Oh,
like,
P2. Oh,
It was like, this is
S
$4,000
by S
for like.
cards.
Do you ever shoot one on film?
No.
No.
Too
No.
loud.
Maybe some Super 8 footage has been rolled in, but but Candid Camera was.
Right.
Like Alan Funt was messing around on some film and video.
But like, sometimes the commercial stuff would be like, yeah, we're shooting all this stuff on the,
Red Epic or
Red Epic, like whatever the coolest camera is at the time. And we're like, our pinhole camera. And they're like, how do you match that to this? Does it do 444? We're like,
What LUT would you like to put on?
I don't even. Yeah. I'm like, no.
I remember being asked for like 35 millimeter equivalents for the tiny little lipstick camera, and I was just like, I'm like, hey, I don't know. This wide lens is wide. This long lens is long. I mean, I should have known that stuff later. I did look it up and stuff, but I'm like, I don't know. I think you're being a little. There's not options. Yeah. Like it just is what it is.
The chip is a 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch. Like it's not gonna.
Hey man,
match.
this shoots 4K.
I know, but like 20 years ago,
Whatever that means.
Well, I mean, now things must be so much at least easier in terms of, making sure you have the content. Now you have wireless video with all your like hidden camera work. And how does that stuff translate into something like Beat Bobby Flay, which is, that's not a show that's designed to necessarily like mess with people, but you probably still have like hidden camera rigs and stuff for certain shots, I'm assuming.
We use some lipstick cameras and some robotic cameras on that show. There's mounted underneath the cook stations. There's some smaller format cameras to shoot the face of the oven for stuff coming in and out. You don't want to put a big camera. Even an FX3 would eat up a bit of space and get in shots. And then the pan-tilt zooms from the grid to cover cooking process are I operate those. They're a lot of fun. It's a lot of onion chopping and flambeing and stuff like that. Wireless video is huge on those shows because they don't shoot tethered. So all the monitoring for the handheld cameras is all on wireless video. Bobby has a barbecue brawl show that has been shooting in Texas. I think just did season 6 of it. And that one, we get up to 17 wireless feeds up in the sky, and it's a bit to manage, and it's a bit to like make happen and happen consistently. So it's challenging, but it's different challenges than the hidden camera, but a lot of the stuff does borrow against each other.
I mean, does when you're running that many different like wireless signals, are you like, do you have I don't know, like a frequency monitor essentially? Like, is somebody's job there just to make sure that nothing's going to come in and like pull a Walgreens on you?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's your job. Or, my job as the technical supervisor for, and the audio supervisor does that thing for the audio frequencies. You kind of work with each other. And
because even with wireless lights now, like I've been on shows where like the board op can't do something because cameras like follow focus is fucking with our signal. Like,
it gets intense on these big shows. I was doing a Food Network competition show out on a lot in Los Angeles, and we were having to share with Cougar Town the one day, like the outside setup. Well, we were feeding them. That was the challenge for the show I was on. We were feeding their crew.
oh, it was like a mashup, like a crossover.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like the Food Network competition show is going to feed the Cougar Town, crew lunch. And it was all very Hollywood and stuff like that. And I'm running 11 channels of wireless video. Our audio team is like, they're running 24 channels of, with sends to camera for another. So they're coordinating like 50 frequencies. And the Cougar Town guy was talking. He's like, oh, we had an intense one today, Gideon. He's like, I had to use all 7 of my wireless. And he's like, oh boy. And then on that shoot, the jib tech comes out and he's like, our follow focus isn't working and we think it might be interfering with your wireless. I'm like, okay, well, what frequencies are you working on? I'll make sure to avoid that. And he gets on the walkie-talkie, waits for a little while, and he comes, he's like, we're on channel 4.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I don't have anything on channel 4, so
We're not on your walkie-talkies.
Yeah.
We're
and the audio guy looks at me and he's like, that wasn't nice. And I was like, well, I don't know. He obviously doesn't understand frequencies.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what they're doing. They're on channel 4. And I just won't program any of my things to channel 4. But it is funny, like, they don't need to know any of that stuff in that world. Like, they're not dealing with the scope of tech we've kind of signed up to.
Do you guys ever set up like blockers so other people can't like latch on or interfere with your signals?
A lot of the wireless video comes out really hot at like high wattages and does that just kind of as its own thing, whether you want it to or not.
Yeah.
So sort of, but not really.
Not on purpose.
No, not on purpose. And I haven't had too much trouble of late because it seems like the wireless videos falling in the 5 gigahertz. Wireless other things stays in 2.4. Comms and audio is 900, and like everyone's kind of happy. They released that 6,000 megahertz range, which a couple years ago no one was allowed to play with without special licenses. So that's freed some stuff up too.
I do have one other note from our call that you had a story about the Playboy show that you guys did. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Oh, Brooklyn kind of love.
Yeah.
That's one of the yeah.
I believe that came to us for the car rig. Earlier when I mentioned clobbering over some footage I meant to show the client, it was for that client.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was for a proof of concept for some swingers TV show that didn't go anywhere. But what did get picked up by the Playboy channel was a docu-follow called Brooklyn Kinda Love. It followed 4 couples in Brooklyn as they would, do their things around town, in the bedroom, around their house. And there was a car that we rigged up to drive them around. And then each bedroom had a 3-camera infrared so it could see in the dark.
Microphones.
With microphones set up that had this button you could press that would set the set right bedside that would set all the cameras to record and the lights to fire up or whatever, the whole system to go on. And so it was kind of the fighting or fucking button if you were about to fight or you're about to fuck.
I think they got paid more if they like recorded more. So like
if I know, I understand it's a Playboy channel, it's a pay-per-view or whatever, but like, isn't there a line of porn? Like,
Yeah, like that little splash page that I'm sure someone's told you about comes on before porn. that was on at the beginning of
Yeah.
the half an hour of television. I mean, it was a docu-follow show that did have like handheld cameras like that would go
Outside the bedroom.
and
Okay.
like follow the couples around and their relationships and stuff like that. But there was also the the intimacy.
I mean, you guys kind of touched on it before, but it's like the level of reality in reality TV show, like is like a follow that none of it's real because everybody's going to play towards a camera, right? Like
a bit, but then like you'd be driving these people around and like they either just really good at pretending to not care what they looked like on television or just didn't care what they looked like on television.
like this is their big break.
I don't.
No, they were like strung out on drugs, like slobbering on themselves or like fighting, like you could tell that they just weren't really caring or aware and that they were on camera.
It wasn't like the CEO of Citibank was on this show. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
you guys didn't do bum fights, did you?
No. Jesus Christ.
No.
But thank you for thinking that we would.
You just got hired. You didn't produce it. You just got hired.
No, but I might have had a line at bum fights.
I feel like we have said no to some things.
We said no to the Russians who had the brothel.
Yeah, I forgot about
They
that's
close up,
Like in Nevada?
No, thick Russian accent. It was going to be out in like
Brighton Beach
Woodside,
or
or whatever. He's like, we bring the girls over and we put them all in the house, no money, and they just figure out how to live.
Oh, so they wanted a brothel to be formed, but without actually saying it?
They were forming a brothel. They wanted hidden cameras in it, and they wanted to say whatever they needed to say to us to get us to agree to do that. And I was like,
we get a lot of
just
weird
do that
calls.
yourself.
Like a lot of weird calls of like, hey, we're doing this show. And we're like,
you shouldn't.
Yeah, I know. But like there's sometimes we're like, okay, cool, that's gonna be $1 million. And it's like, cool. Like,
But if they say yes, then you're like, oh fuck.
well that
Has that happened?
Oh yeah.
well
I mean, we've talked.
I don't want to say the client.
No, but we've talked about that a couple times. Like sometimes, like if you don't want to do it, you throw out a number that's like 3 times your rate, and then they say yes, and you're like, oh fuck, I should have done 5 times.
Yeah.
Price yourself out.
Yeah, that's what you hope, but
But you guys are the best. That's you. You have the experience. You have the failures.
yeah.
That's the problem.
I think we've successfully priced ourselves out of many things, whether we were trying to or not. It's funny, people are like, oh, I didn't think this would cost more than the normal shoot. Yeah. And I was like, but it's more than
12
the
times
normal
as many
shoot.
cameras. Yeah.
It's going to take more people. It's more time. It's more. It's more.
It is. The hidden camera stuff is so hard because it is like, it's essentially live,
Right.
There's really no redos. So it's like incredibly stressful. It's like a house of cards on a hill of sand,
Right.
It's like, it should work, but if something, and they're like, well, you have 4 hours to set all this stuff up. And it's like, if one thing goes wrong, it's like, well, shit, it could take 30 minutes to troubleshoot that. And so it's like exceptionally hard. And it's like,
Are you guys willing to talk about your contracts a little bit? Like, I'm curious if it's similar to like almost like a wedding photographer. Like, oh, I missed this shot because your dad tackled me, so I didn't get like something weird. Like, if you didn't get the golden shot, you were still there. You did your work. Like, are you covered for that kind of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's rare. I mean, like we're work for hire, So if you're producing it and like. We're working with you and everything like that, but
Right, it's not your show. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
We've been very lucky that we have a lot of like repeat customers, so there's a good relationship where they are like, "What do you think of this?" And you're like, "I don't know if that's a good idea," or like, "What about try this?" And they're like, "Okay, cool, that could work for us." And so it is like, it is risky, like in terms of like. You have one chance at this and there's no redos. So I think people understand the consequences or like the stakes, and it makes it hard, but it also makes it exciting. And like when hidden camera is like working really, really well, it's like a fucking blast.
I feel like that's one of those things that like there's a lot of artists out there that learn these contract negotiations like the hard way because a bride came back to them and was like, you didn't get this shot the way that I wanted it. And it's like, well, you didn't hire me to document this. You hired me to document the event, and that part wasn't part of what I documented. So I still did my job, and that, it's like that kind of.
There's always some of that. You gotta, you always got to be mindful of the burning bridges. Like if you're a wedding photographer, you're like, well, how many more weddings are they gonna have?
Right.
Yeah. But it is word of mouth sort of thing. But
I think they're also just logically, there has to be some acceptability. The idea that these things just might not happen. Like you're there to do a job and capture certain things, but like it's not always gonna, like even when you guys are doing the hidden camera stuff, they're not always gonna say what's on the script. You just kind of, at least with you
That
get to
one guy
repeat it
will.
over and over and over and over until you get it. But for like a wedding, you only get one shot, right? Like
that's where we can be valuable. Like if you're talking to us about your concept, like we'd be like, well, if you can build in repeatability, then you're going to ensure that you come away with something, or be more ensured that you come away with something versus, you've set this up, or this setup right now is just one person, one shot. Like, it might be worth your while to try to think if there's another different way to do that.
Right. It's like flipping a car in a movie. You're like, well, we might have 5 cameras today, not just the normal 2.
Yeah. So, like we're all for that kind of consultation, but at a certain point, whoever's spending the money on the shoot gets to make the decisions that they want to make. And I'm not going to get angry with them, because it's their money. It's their shoot. Right. They get to do it the way they want, as long as no one's going to get hurt and we're not crossing very deep ethical lines.
Chris, Andrew, thank you so much for coming on the show and just chatting with us and giving us background on what it's like to work on hidden camera shows. And actually, if you could tell people where they could find you, like your website, Instagram, and all that stuff, just like,
MySpace /
HTTP : we are at tvboynyc.com, and
I think our phone number is 188-YO-TV-BOY. Is it 800 or 88?
Now you're going to get prank calls.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, feel free to call us. We created a person, Tito Leathers O'Malley, for all the telemarketers. And
well, don't tell them that.
You think telemarketers watch the show?
Yeah.
We have a huge telemarketer demographic.
Yeah.
We buy all our views.
Telemarketer Quarterly is just going to out us, and now everyone's going to stop calling for Tito. Play it out. We're gonna be all right.
Yeah. I think it'll be fine. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on the show, guys. We'll put their information in the description so you guys check them out. And we'll see you on the next one.